He refused to wear the dress. He refused to play the clown. He refused to sell out. And for that, Hollywood made him disappear. But when Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned in front of his daughter, suddenly everyone remembered his name. Why does it always take death for truth to matter? Stay with us, because the story you're about to hear is not just heartbreaking, it's a warning. Something I once believed was true. Until I knew better. For the longest time, I believed certain people in power, especially those in secret groups like the so-called Illuminati, held knowledge the rest of us could never reach. I always wondered what truth they were hiding. But now, something real and painful has shaken that curiosity. We finally got an update about the tragic death of Malcolm Jamal Warner. According to ABC7, Malcolm drowned while vacationing in Costa Rica. He passed away on a Sunday, off the coast, while spending time with his family. For as long as I can remember, I have been trying to open people's eyes to a hard truth. If you are a black man in Hollywood and you do not follow their script, they will erase you like you never mattered. The spotlight has its conditions, and if you do not play by the unspoken rules, you will be pushed to the side silently and without warning. One day, you're celebrated. The next, your name is barely whispered. And just like that, your presence fades from the places you once stood so proudly in. Life itself is delicate. You never really know which moment might be your last. We wake up thinking we have time, but truthfully, tomorrow is never promised. And when someone like Malcolm passes, that reality hits harder than ever. It forces you to pause and reflect. What do we truly leave behind? What will people say when our voices are no longer here to speak? Legacy becomes more than just a word, it becomes a mirror. It asks tough questions. What did I stand for? What will they remember me for? And when I think of Malcolm Jamal Warner, I cannot help but feel the weight of those questions. Because Malcolm was not chasing likes, trends, or cheap fame. He was not one to dance for applause or water himself down just to stay relevant. He had a deeper mission. He believed in being real, being intentional, and most of all being true to who he was. In a world that rewards noise over depth, Malcolm stood out for his quiet strength, while others leaned into stereotypes, hoping for viral fame or quick checks. Malcolm took the harder path. He stuck to roles and projects that meant something, even if that meant fewer headlines or less attention. He knew his worth, and he never let the industry define it for him. But the sad truth is, that kind of courage often comes with a cost. When you do not play their game, they make you invisible. When you do not fit the image they want, they call you too serious or say you're not marketable enough. Those are just coded ways of saying, you're too real, too black, too honest for their comfort. And now that he is gone, suddenly the world wants to celebrate him. Posts are flooding social media. Clips from his old interviews are being shared, like treasures. Streaming platforms are bringing out shows he did years ago, treating them like hidden gems. The same industry that once overlooked him now wants to hold him up like a hero. But where was all this when he was alive? Where was the praise when he was out there doing powerful work, standing for something? It is heartbreaking to see how often we wait until someone is gone to give them their flowers. Why do we only recognize greatness when it can no longer hear us? And more importantly, why does standing tall come with such a heavy price? Malcolm did not sell out. He did not trade his values for a moment in the spotlight. And for that, the industry left him in the background. Award shows skipped over him. Big roles passed him by. But still, he stayed solid. He stayed focused. He was one of the few who moved with purpose in a space that often rewards the opposite. His story is not just about loss. It is a wake-up call, a reminder that integrity in Hollywood can feel like a lonely road. And yet, it is a road that leaves behind a legacy you can be proud of. Malcolm's life teaches us that staying true to yourself matters even if the world does not always see it right away. So now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Malcolm was sidelined because he would not play the industry's game? And why does it always take death for the world to finally appreciate someone's truth? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know how his story makes you feel. And if you believe in giving people their flowers while they are still here, do not just scroll past, like, share, and speak up. Because voices like Malcolm's should never be silenced. Malcolm turned down roles that made black men look foolish or weak. He refused to wear a dress for a laugh or act silly just to get attention. He wanted to represent himself and his community with pride. And because of that, Hollywood pushed him to the sidelines. Not because he lacked talent. He was smart, well-spoken, and confident in who he was. But they could not control him. Now, that he is gone, everyone suddenly wants to call him a legend. They want to say he was underrated. But where was that love when he was alive, quietly doing meaningful work? So much of his early career was spent juggling praise and criticism. People cheered for him, but he heard the hate too. This is not about conspiracy theories. This is about real patterns that we keep ignoring. Comedian Katt Williams has been shouting it for years how the industry punishes anyone who refuses to play the clown. Now people are finally listening. So let us talk about what Malcolm truly stood for and why everyone's praising him now. After it is too late, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who many knew as Theo from The Cosby Show, died on July 20, 2025. He was on vacation with his family in Lemon, Costa Rica, spending a peaceful day at the beach with his 8-year-old daughter. But the ocean turned dangerous in an instant. There were warning signs posted in both English and Spanish about rip currents, those powerful, fast-moving channels of water that can pull even strong swimmers out to sea. That beach is known for being risky, with hidden dangers beneath the calm surface. On that day, no lifeguards were on duty. One of the only people nearby who could help was a volunteer lifeguard, who just happened to be surfing. He spotted Malcolm, in trouble, already unresponsive, and tried to help. The Red Cross later confirmed that another man, who had also been pulled in by the same current, was rescued but left in critical condition. People tried to save them. Surfers nearby noticed what was happening. One saved Malcolm's daughter. Another rushed after Malcolm. But by the time help arrived, it was too late. Malcolm could not be revived. The man who tried to rescue him ended up in the hospital, fighting for his life. The autopsy later confirmed that Malcolm's death was caused by drowning. It was ruled an accident. In an emotional moment, his loved ones shared how even before his daughter was born, they knew she would be a girl. They hoped she would be their light, guiding them into the next chapter. And now, she will carry a memory that no child should have to losing her father in front of her eyes. Malcolm's story is not just about a tragic accident. It is about a man who lived with dignity, stood up for what he believed in, and refused to play a role that did not feel true to him. He was not loud about it. He just lived it. And now, in his silence, the world is finally listening. The legacy of Malcolm Jamal Warner. A life lived with purpose. Sometimes life sends you exactly what you need before you even know you need it. For me, that gift was my daughter. From the very moment she came into this world, she softened something in me. She brought out a side of me I never really knew, one that was patient, warm, and steady. Being a father changed the way I saw everything, especially the way I saw myself as a man. I came into fatherhood with a certain level of growth already, and having a daughter only deepened that understanding. So when I heard that Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away, it hit me differently. Not just because it was tragic, but because of who he was. The official report said he died from asphyxia due to drowning. It was ruled a tragic accident, but knowing that does not make it hurt any less. Malcolm was not just another child star who faded away. He was one of the rare ones who stayed grounded and never lost himself. He never chased fame by acting a fool or taking roles that mocked his identity. He never embarrassed himself for his people just to get a paycheck or go viral. Malcolm lived with quiet dignity. He built his success on his own terms. A self-made millionaire, an Emmy-nominated actor, a Grammy-winning musician, a poet, a director, a husband, a father, a man of integrity. He did not need scandals to get attention, and there were no secret children or tabloid drama in his life. He loved his family and raised his daughter with pride, showing up for her in all the ways that truly mattered. In Hollywood, that kind of clean track record is rare. Yet despite all that, the industry never gave him the flowers he deserved. And now that he is gone, suddenly everyone wants to call him a legend. But where was that love while he was alive, working hard behind the scenes? He always believed that the way a girl sees the world starts with her father. And he lived by that belief every single day. From the very start, when he helped deliver his daughter into this world with his own hands, he made the choice to be a steady force in her life. He made choices not everyone else might have understood, but he stood by them anyway. Some people in Hollywood were willing to put on a dress just to get a laugh, or play silly, clownish roles to stay famous. And sure, actors like Kevin Hart got a pass because they were part of a long tradition of that kind of comedy. But Malcolm, he said no. He refused to be part of anything that made black men look like a joke. That choice came with a cost. In Hollywood, when you go against the system, you often get left out. When people speak out against those in power, like the so-called Illuminati or the media machine, they get silenced, mocked, or labeled as crazy. Malcolm faced that silence too, but he never changed. He was a blueprint for how to live with grace. He never let fame change who he was. And then, just like that, he was gone. 54 years of good health, enjoying a quiet vacation with his family, and, suddenly, it ended. Still, he lived right. He did not lose, he just left early. But, we need to talk about how Hollywood treated him while he was still here. Just like Katt Williams has been warning us for years, Malcolm was pushed aside because he did not want to play along with the industry's games. He could have taken the easy route. After The Cosby Show, he had the looks, the talent, the reputation, but he stayed true to himself. No silly roles, no fake accents, no clown behavior, no dresses for laughs. He refused to be turned into a joke, and because of that, they kept him on the bench. People say they love Dave Chappelle for standing up for what he believes, but let us be honest. Neither Dave nor Malcolm were ever part of the in crowd. Saturday Night Live never invited them in, and that says a lot. When you do not play their game, they make sure you feel it. Katt Williams has been calling this out for years, how Hollywood labels you difficult or crazy the moment you refuse to perform for them. They said the same about Malcolm. But he was none of those things. He was smart, disciplined, and focused. And because of that, he was pushed to the background. But the truth is, Malcolm never needed their approval. He created his own space. He launched a podcast called Not All Hood, where he boldly talked about how Hollywood turns black people into stereotypes. Instead of chasing cheap fame, he focused on projects that had meaning. Stories about justice, about education, about real history. Malcolm Jamal Warner might be gone, but his legacy is more powerful than ever. He did not just exist, he made a difference. Malcolm Jamal Warner was building something bigger than fame. Malcolm was not chasing the spotlight, he was building something that truly mattered. He produced and starred in plays and documentaries that focused on black culture, real-life struggles, and the deep roots of racism. He did not care about flashy roles. He wanted to tell honest stories. In 2021, he wrote a powerful op-ed for the Television Academy. It was sharp, honest, and unapologetic. Malcolm laid out the truth. Most of the control in the entertainment industry still sits in the hands of white executives, directors, and writers. And because of that, the way black people are shown on screen often stays stuck in the same old stereotypes. He explained how, even during times when it seems like black creatives are given more freedom, it often ends up being an illusion. Sure, the characters might have better jobs or slicker lines, but the root stereotypes stay the same. The media continues to push the idea that all black people live one kind of life, and that kind of thinking, he said, is not just wrong. It is lazy and damaging. That is why he named his podcast, Not All Hood. He wanted to break the idea that the black community is one big stereotype. We are not all the same. We are not all street. We are not all tough. We are not all loud. And we are definitely not all living one struggle. He even said there should be a break from words like the N-word and B-word in hip-hop because they are overused, harmful, and way too easy to fall back on. Malcolm loved the art of hip-hop, but he also had strong feelings about what it had become. He was not afraid to call out the toxic parts, the hate, the disrespect toward women, the fake toughness. He wanted better, and he asked the industry, and the community, to do better too. Even when the internet exploded over the Kendrick versus Drake battle, Malcolm stepped in with a real message. He said hip-hop only seems to get attention when it is filled with negativity, and he believed that was not a coincidence. The industry pushes that kind of content on purpose. He spoke on how the N-word has become normal in music, and how people often say they are taking the power back. But Malcolm disagreed. He believed that if you truly love your brother, and want to lift him up, why would you use a word that was created to tear him down? For Malcolm, it was about more than just words. He said if our music is not spreading love, growth, or pride, then it is not helping us. In fact, a lot of the lyrics in today's black music, once you strip away the beats, actually go against the culture. He pointed out that it is hard to find hip-hop today without references to drugs, guns, the N-word, and disrespecting women. That is not empowerment, it is self-harm in disguise. Malcolm was not trying to kill the fun or shut down the genre. He was calling for balance, for healing, for real accountability. He wanted music and stories that built up the black community, not tore it down. And that is why Katt Williams often brings him up. Katt has been warning us for years that the industry only supports you when it can control your image. What happened with Malcolm is proof. He was showing the world that black men are smart, layered, emotional, and powerful, not just silly sidekicks or comic relief. But the industry wanted him to stay stuck in his teenage TV days. They wanted him to play the same old role, the old heartthrob, the goofy best friend, the clown. He refused. Malcolm walked away from roles that could have made him a bigger star, but at the cost of his dignity. While other actors from his generation were blowing up by playing along, Malcolm stood firm. He knew who he was. And that, more than anything, is what made him great. Malcolm Jamal Warner didn't play the game, and that's exactly why they pushed him out. While some actors gave in to the industry's pressure, chasing big paychecks, playing into old stereotypes, and doing whatever it took to stay relevant, Malcolm Jamal Warner chose a different path. He stayed in his lane. He stayed true to who he was. And that choice came with a cost. In interviews, Malcolm sometimes hinted that even people on his own team told him he was too serious or not marketable enough. But what they really meant was, "You're too black, too thoughtful, too real for this system." And just like that, the calls stopped coming. No roles, no invitations, no praise. This is exactly what Katt Williams has been warning about for years. If you don't play the clown, if you refuse to be part of the humiliation process, they erase you like you were never even there. And now that Malcolm is gone, suddenly, his name is everywhere. The same Hollywood that ignored him when he was alive is now pretending to care. Suddenly, social media is full of teary tributes. Celebrities are posting old photos. Streaming services are dusting off old projects. Networks are hyping up documentaries like he's the newest face of safe black excellence. But let's be honest. Where was all this love when he was still alive? When Malcolm was standing strong, speaking truth, and choosing his roles with purpose, the industry turned its back. Award shows barely noticed him. He was left out of big opportunities. Hollywood kept him in the shadows because he didn't chase fame, and he didn't fake it to fit in. Now that he is gone and cannot speak for himself, they are repackaging his image for PR points, turning his legacy into a woke marketing tool. Katt Williams has been saying it all along. Hollywood waits until black artists are quiet, no longer a threat, before they start celebrating them. Once they can control the narrative, they shine the spotlight. So here is the real question. Is this sudden love for Malcolm real? Or is it just damage control now that the truth is catching up to them? Malcolm did not sell out. He did not pretend to be someone else for likes, views, or awards. And in a world that rewards people for playing along, that made him easy to ignore. But he stayed grounded. He stayed intentional. He made choices with meaning. He chose to speak truth instead of chasing trends. Malcolm Jamal Warner was never just another actor. He was one of the few who stood tall, even when it cost him everything. He chose purpose over popularity. And Hollywood let him fade quietly, only to rush in once he was gone. His death is not just a tragedy, is a message. A hard reminder that staying true to yourself in this business is brave, but it comes with a price. Still, he never folded. That is real strength. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Malcolm got pushed out because he would not play the game? And why does it always take someone's death for the industry to finally show love? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share what you feel. And if you found something powerful in this story, hit like, share it with someone, and subscribe for more truth like this. We'll see you in the next one.